The Trump administration has released approximately $6 billion in education funding that was previously withheld. The funds, which include programs for English language acquisition, teacher development, and adult education, were under review by the Office of Management and Budget, OMB. According to a Department of Education spokesperson, all title program funding will be unfrozen, including after-school and summer learning funds. This decision comes after several Republican senators urged the administration to reverse its decision to withhold the funds. The release of these funds is expected to benefit states nationwide, particularly as many school districts prepare for the upcoming academic year. Lori Daybell, known as the Doomsday Mom, was sentenced to 2 life sentences in Arizona on Friday for conspiring with her late brother to kill her 4th husband and her niece's ex-husband. She was found guilty of 2 counts of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder in separate trials this spring. The judge said a long prison sentence is necessary to affirm that society values justice, protection, and the sanctity of human life. Lori Daybell is already serving multiple life sentences after being convicted in 2023 of murdering her 2 children. She was found guilty of conspiring with her current husband, Chad Daybell, to kill his first wife, Tamara Daybell, who died in October 2019. The UK, Germany, and France have called for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza and the unconditional release of all hostages. The 3 countries held an emergency call to discuss the ongoing war and humanitarian crisis. They also urged a withdrawal of Israeli forces from Gaza and the removal of Hamas leadership as key steps toward a 2-state solution. Aid drops into Gaza have been criticized by aid organizations, with the UNRWA Commissioner General calling them the most expensive and inefficient way to deliver aid. The International Committee of the Red Cross has called for urgent collective action to end the suffering in Gaza. Disgraced former Representative George Santos is set to report to federal prison on July 25, 2025, to begin a 7-year sentence for wire fraud and identity theft. The scandal-plagued congressman was convicted in April 2024 of multiple counts related to his campaign finances and personal life. Santos will serve his time at an undisclosed location, marking the end of his congressional career. U.S. President Donald Trump has not ruled out granting a pardon to convicted associate Ghislaine Maxwell, who was involved in the Jeffrey Epstein scandal. This statement comes after being asked by ABC News about the possibility of clemency for Maxwell. The question was dodged initially, but Trump's response leaves room for speculation on his intentions regarding Maxwell's case. Trailer home was swept away by floodwaters in New Mexico on July 24, 2025, as storm water rushed off mountainsides scarred by wildfire. The incident occurred during a period of severe weather and flooding in the region. The New York Yankees have acquired third baseman Ryan McMahon from the Colorado Rockies in exchange for minor league pitchers Griffin Herring and Josh Gross. McMahon, 30, will fill a gaping hole at third base for the Yankees, who have struggled with a .645 OPS from their third baseman this season. The Rockies received 2 minor league pitchers in the trade. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, arrested a Salvadoran national, Jose Madrid Reyes, accused of stalking a U.S. government official despite being ordered to leave the country in 2022. Reyes has a nearly 2-decade-long history of assault and driving while intoxicated. He was convicted of DWI in 2006 and misdemeanor assault on a family member in 2017. Despite being ordered removed from the country, Reyes remained in the U.S. illegally. ICE agents are facing an 830% increase in assaults against them. Former Alabama football coach Nick Saban has addressed rumors of his potential return to the sideline, stating that he is happy with what I am doing right now. Saban left the game in 2024 after a loss in the Rose Bowl and has been involved in various initiatives since then. He expressed his enjoyment of spending time with family and working on preserving the integrity of college athletics. Professional golfer Scottie Scheffler has expressed his willingness to sacrifice one of his 4 major titles in exchange for seeing the Dallas Cowboys win a Super Bowl. Scheffler, who resides in Dallas and is a self-proclaimed fan of the team, made this statement before teeing off at the Open last week. The Cowboys have not won a championship since 1995, and Scheffler has seen limited postseason success during his lifetime. He joked that he's dealt with more disappointment when it comes to football than in golf. This year alone, Scheffler has won 2 major tournaments, the PGA Championship and the Open Championship. New York Mets star closer Edwin Diaz is open to playing in the 2026 World Baseball Classic, despite suffering a major injury at the 2023 tournament. Diaz tore his patellar tendon while celebrating Team Puerto Rico's win over the Dominican Republic and missed the entire season. He has been lights out for the Mets this season, with a 1.55 ERA and 21 saves in 40 games. The NFL has fined over 100 players and coaches for scalping tickets to Super Bowl licks, with some facing fines of up to 200% of the face value. The league caught the scalpers by tracking ticket sales and confirming if they were used. This is not the first time this has happened, but it's the largest scale yet. Former Minnesota Vikings head coach Mike Tice was fined $100,000 in 2005 for similar actions. The Washington Post has lost nearly all of its obituary writers after the company offered a voluntary separation program, VSP, to its veteran employees, including those on the obit desk. According to Politico magazine senior editor Michael Schaffer, all but one person on the obit desk has taken the buyout offer, which aims to shed staff by the end of July. The lone holdout is too junior to qualify for the buyout deal. Adam Bernstein, the paper's longtime obit chief, was one of the latest Post staffers to accept the buyout and will be joining the New York Times as deputy editor of its obituaries desk. The Washington Post announced in May that it was rolling out its VSP program to its veteran employees, offering them an option to leave the company in exchange for months of base pay from the company following their departure. The move has caused an absolute exodus at the company, with many staffers quitting due to concerns over the paper's editorial slant taking a rightward shift following President Donald Trump's re-election. Reality TV stars Heather L. Moussa and Christina Haack seem unbothered about the cancellation of their shows on HGTV. The two posed in bikinis during a trip to Las Vegas, with El Moussa crediting her vegan diet for maintaining her bikini body after giving birth. Despite the network axing the flipping El Moussas and Christina on the coast, the duo will continue to appear alongside Tarek El Moussa in their HGTV series, The Flip-Off. Seasonal ocean swells have uncovered ancient Hawaiian petroglyphs on Oahu, exposing over 24 human-like carvings last seen years ago. The stick figure-like etchings were revealed due to seasonal ocean swells that peel away sand covering the images. Researchers believe they mark birth records or other important events. The star-studded benefit concert that raised over $100 million for California wildfire victims is under fire for how the money was spent. FireAid, which partnered with 188 nonprofits, claims only an advisory role in spending decisions. The Annenberg Foundation helped organize the concert, but says it has no control over how the funds are allocated. Critics argue that the money should have gone directly to those affected by the wildfires. An investigation into where the donations went and who benefited is being called for by California Congressman Kevin Kiley. The U.S. Department of Education has launched an investigation into Oregon's policies on gender ideology, citing multiple lawsuits filed over the issue of trans athletes in girls' sports. The DOE-OCR also announced that 5 school districts in Virginia have violated Title IX by allowing trans students to compete in girls' sports. The Trump administration is cracking down on states defying Title IX and President Donald Trump's executive order. 2 California clinic staffers are facing federal charges for allegedly interfering with an Immigration and Customs Enforcement (ICE) arrest earlier this month. According to authorities, Honduran national Dennis Ghislaine, a landscaper, allegedly left on foot to evade law enforcement and went inside the Ontario Advanced Surgical Center, where he was not a patient. Medical staff attempted to block his apprehension by assaulting ICE agents. U.S. Attorney for the Central District of California Bill Essaley stated that this incident is another example of a false narrative peddled by irresponsible members of the media in furtherance of a political agenda to delegitimize federal agents. Rep. Ro Khanna, D. California, called for a new era of transparency in the Democratic Party at the 2025 Voters of Tomorrow Summit in Washington, D.C. He emphasized the need to restore trust in government and criticized the party's establishment, saying the old guard needs to go. Khanna also highlighted the importance of standing up for immigrant rights and centering the working and middle class in the party's platform. NFL veteran Von Miller referenced his new team, the Washington Commanders, by their former name, the Redskins, after President Donald Trump threatened to block federal support for the team's new stadium project in Washington, D.C., over his desire to reinstate the Redskins' name. The slip-up comes as Trump has called on the team to revert to its former name, which was dropped in 2020. A vote on the deal that would allow the Commanders to return to their former home at RFK Stadium is set to take place on August 1st. The plan to move back to D.C. from the Maryland suburbs is estimated to be around 2030. That is, if the legislation is approved. Education Secretary Linda McMahon said Columbia University's $200 million plus discrimination settlement with the Trump administration is laying the groundwork for a culture of accountability on college campuses. The settlement combats anti-Semitism, removes discriminatory hiring practices, and enhances campus safety. McMahon stated that this agreement will serve as an excellent template for other universities to follow. Authorities believe there was no foul play in the death of 22-year-old graduate student Elliot Hines, who was found dead Wednesday in the Mississippi River after vanishing over the weekend in La Crosse, Wisconsin. The preliminary autopsy results do not indicate any criminal conduct related to Hines's death. Hines was last seen walking along the Mississippi River waterfront at about 3:30 a.m. and was spotted on surveillance footage heading toward her apartment, which was less than a mile away. A young fisherman found her body face down, wrapped in duckweed in the Mississippi River near Brownsville, Minnesota. The investigation remains open, with final autopsy results not expected for several months. The Secretary of the Army has ordered the U.S. Military Academy at West Point to restore the school's crest on the Bibles at the Cadet Chapel, reversing a Biden-era decision to not include the crest when replacing the Bibles. The move comes after a lawsuit was filed against the Pentagon for records concerning the crest's removal from the Bibles. Secretary of the Army Dan Driscoll stated that the decision to remove the crest was yet another example of the previous administration pushing far-left politics into our military institutions. The U.S. and Israel announced on Friday that their respective forces had killed terror leaders from ISIS and Hezbollah in separate counterterrorism operations. CENTCOM troops carried out a raid in al-Bab, Aleppo governorate, Syria, killing senior ISIS leader Diaz al-Babwaswi al-Hardani and his 2 adult sons. The Israel Defense Forces, IDF, also announced that its troops had killed Ali Mohammed Hassan Kutan, who served as the personnel officer for Hezbollah's Bint Jbeil sector. The operations targeted terror groups threatening regional stability. President Donald Trump's political team and top advisors to Republican Governor Brian Kemp of Georgia are at odds over the selection of a candidate for the state's 2026 Senate primary. The disagreement stems from an agreement between the two parties to work together in finding a unified candidate to take on Democratic Senator Jon Ossoff. However, sources close to Trump's team claim that Kemp floated the name of former University of Tennessee football coach Derek Dooley without consulting them first. This move allegedly upset Trump's advisors, who were already pretty annoyed with Kemp for passing on taking on Ossoff in the Senate race earlier this year. Meanwhile, Representative Mike Collins is set to announce his candidacy for the Senate next week, and Republican Representative Buddy Carter has also launched a campaign. The House Ethics Committee has found that Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, DNY, violated the House gift rule at the 2021 Met Gala, where she wore a tax-the-rich dress. The committee determined that Ocasio-Cortez failed to fully comply with the rule, which requires members of Congress to pay for their own expenses or reimburse vendors for any free items received. The investigation found evidence suggesting that the designer, Brother Vellies, provided the dress as a gift, may have lowered costs in response to statements from Ocasio-Cortez's staff, and that payments to vendors were significantly delayed. As a result, the committee asked Ocasio-Cortez to pay an additional $2,733.28 for the fair market value of the accessories she received in connection with the gala, as well as donate the $250 value of her fiancé's Met Gala meal to the Costume Institute. A pediatric death from a brain-eating amoeba has been reported in South Carolina, according to health officials. The patient died after exposure to Naegleria fowleri, a rare amoeba that causes a life-threatening brain infection called primary amoebic meningoencephalitis, PAM. Health officials link the fatal infection to possible exposure in Lake Murray during peak summer season. To reduce the risk of infection from Naegleria fowleri, health experts recommend holding your nose shut, using nose clips, or keeping your head above water while swimming in warm freshwater areas. Kansas Jayhawks head coach Bill Self was hospitalized Thursday after experiencing concerning symptoms. A university spokesperson confirmed the 62-year-old coach had 2 stents inserted during a heart procedure. Self remains in good spirits and is expected to be discharged from the hospital in the near future. This isn't the first time Self has been admitted to a hospital after a health scare, having previously experienced chest tightness and balance issues. The 2-time national championship-winning coach underwent a heart catheterization and received a pair of stents to treat the blocked arteries. Self has patrolled the Kansas sideline since 2003, coaching the Jayhawks to 14 consecutive Big 12 regular season championships from 2004 to 2018. A growing connection exists between technology and mental health, affecting everything from focus to sleep. 5 buzzworthy terms explain how our digital habits are shaping the way we think, feel, and function. These include doom scrolling, blue light, screen time, digital detox, and algorithmic bias. Understanding these tech habits can help individuals use technology with more intention and care. The creators of the long-running animated series, South Park, have responded to controversy surrounding their season 27 premiere, which featured a depiction of President Donald Trump's penis. Trey Parker and Matt Stone joked that they were terribly sorry for the episode during an appearance at San Diego Comic-Con on Thursday. The duo revealed that they had a behind-the-scenes battle with network executives over airing the less-than-flattering portrayal of the president. White House Assistant Press Secretary Taylor Rogers called the season premiere a desperate attempt for attention. A Venezuelan Little League team was unable to participate in the Senior Little League World Series after their travel visas to the United States were denied. The Cacique Mara team from Maracaibo, Venezuela, was scheduled to play but was replaced by a Mexican team due to visa restrictions. The team had traveled to Colombia 2 weeks ago to apply for their visas at the U.S. Embassy in Bogotá.